So hello guys, this is a new channel called Devs and Games, and today I'm going to show you how to create a simple FPS controller using Unity. And in this channel I'll be maybe showing some gameplay and also showing some tutorial how to create things in gameplay such as crouch, run, jump. But in today's episode we are just going to show you how to get your camera working with your FPS player, and how to walk and run. Okay, so let's get started. When you create an FPS project, you will have this, and if you can see, I'm moving this by pressing scroll if you have a mouse, and if you press right, if you hold right click, you can see, right? And if you want to zoom, you can use scroll and not scroll like that. Okay, if you're not familiar with Unity, we have hierarchy, project, and inspector. These are most important, I guess. So in this hierarchy, we can create things, and we can delete or select things in here. And if you see, we have directional light, which is the light, and we have the main camera, which I'm going to be using for the FPS controller. Okay, and in this project we have all our folder and our scenes, our materials, and our scripts. Yes, so when you create a project, you will only have scenes, but I have created material and folder. You can do that by pressing right click and create in top of folder. Okay okay, so now we want to create a plane. If you go to 3D objects, uh, plane. Okay, plane is basically a ground, if you can see it. And now we have transform, plane mesh, filter, and mesh renderer, and mesh collider. Mesh filter and mesh renderer are just basically showing the skin or the object. Okay, and mesh collider means your player can stay on it. If he doesn't have a collider, the player will just fall through. And this is the position, uh, rotation, and scale of your object, which is plane. You want to name this plane to ground, and we want to reset. If you press this dot, you want to reset its position, scale, and rotation. So it's in the center of the world or void. We want to now change the scales to 5, and from this like that. On x-axis, and on z-axis, we don't need y. And now we have this here. Now we want to create a capsule which will act as our player. If you go to again 3D objects, capsule, and now we have this capsule. If you press F, it will focus on it. Now let's also reset its position and thing like that. So let's bring it up to a surface. And now if you can see, there is a extra component. These are class component, which is capsule collider, which is the green line which like collides with things like jumping, running. With this, if it doesn't have a collider, it will fall through the world, as I said before for this one as well. Now we want to remove this because we don't need it for the time being. Okay, we are going to add a different component called character controller, which has a collider in itself, and character collider is like a motor for the player. Okay, so let's rename our this player. And now for this, like, there is a collider in this as well, so you don't need to worry about it. So for now, we want to add a script to this. Now, but first, we have the main camera. If you can see, we are going to drag it to our player. So now the player is a parent, and the camera is a child of the parent. Now we want to reset its positions, which will go to the camera, to the player. Although the player is not in center, it will follow it, if you can see. Okay, now let's put our camera above right here. Okay, now first we're going to click on our player and add a script called player controller. If you can see, I have already created the script, but When you are new, you just press 2 and press enter. You press enter, it will create and add. But I already have the script, so I'm going to just add the script to this player. And if you can see, when you create a script, it will be added to this. Or you can create a script from here. Right click on the project, and if you see, there's a C# script. When you create the script, it will come here, and you can just drag this onto your uh, player, if you can see, like this. But I don't need it for the time being, as I already have this script. But and also, don't worry about these script, they are not important. Okay, now let's go to the script. If you, by the way, if you double click it, it will open on a editor that you have. Now if you haven't seen a scripting editor or code, there, here is it, and Unity will automatically write this to help you. Now void start is a function that is only called when the game is started, and void update is called on every frame. So yeah, you want your movement to be on called every frame, not in the start. And so yeah, let's go on to it. First, if you can see here, I want to press double enter, and it will go down, and I want to create a public float called walk speed is equal to 5, and I want to create a public float, uh, not a public float, I want to create a private a private private character controller. Now we are saying character controller, which is referring to this, and we are going to ask for a reference because we are going to control this as well in our coding. And to say controller is equal to get component, it gets the component controller. And to say character controller, then just do these at the end, and it will get the character controller. Okay, now we are in the update function. I want to say float. Float is a type of variable which holds any number, like 1.2. This that is a float, but int is just a whole number, like 1, 2, and a float is a 1.2, or it can be just 2. Okay, now to create a float called um, x x move. No, say x move is equal to input dot get axis, and say horizontal. Okay, horizontal. Now we are getting the input axis, which Unity has already stored in their project, and you just need to write these if you want your player to move. And we are going to move horizontally, which is z axis. Okay, yeah, just a second. And say z axis. Okay, now we're going to create another float called x move. We'll say input, and say the same input don't get axis, we'll say vertical. Now we have this, and now it is very easy to say this. When say vector 3 is equal to new vector let's say transform don't right is multiplied by z move, and plus, instead plus transform, the transform dot up is multiplied by x move. Then to do this, I guess now we are missing something. And say yes, we forgot to name it move. Say move, or we can just cut this, cut these. You know, I make mistakes sometimes. I'm a beginner as well. So we have this now. If you can see it, we are getting the axis here, which is it is on vertical, means going left and right, and I'm sorry, horizontal means going left and right, vertical means going forward and backwards. So now we have these, and we are saying Vector 3 is like holds axes, as I said before, holds axes. Now we are saying transform dot right multiplied by z move, which is this, and we are saying transform dot right multiplied by z moves. We are saying that our player transform is equal to this, so it moves it, and we are saying transform dot up, which is forward and back. Oh, not up, I said forward, which is forward and backwards multiplied by x move, which is vertical. Now, as I said before, our motor, our controller, which is the motor for player, we're going to say controller dot move, and say it move. If you can see, we just write move, and we want to multiply it by our walk speed, and multiply by our time, delta time, which is just time, I guess. And now we have this. We want to save it Control Z or Command Z if you're on a Mac. Now we have this, and if you just wait 1 second, it's going into reload, and soon you will see variables in this hierarchy. It, it will be in any minute. It is taking some time because it is rearranging and the hierarchy, and say if you can see we have the walk speed variable and this main camera. Now we're not going to worry about our main camera, but we're just going to test if our player is walking or not. So just a second. Now we are in this scene function. We want to put this here. This is the game, and this is the scene which we're going to edit things, and this is the game where things are going to play. Now if you see, if I press S, I'm going backwards. If I press W, I'm going forward. If I press A, I'm going this and this. If you can see, we can't move our camera yet. I'm to show you how to now. But if you can see, the second, if you can see, I'm moving it. Okay. Now I'm to let's unpause, unplay it, and we have the both scene and our game scene in here. I'm to take this out and put it in here back. Now when we are seen, and there is the camera, I'm to add a script to it which says mouse look. I already have that, but that's one time too. Okay, I'm to press it and add it, create and add it. Now it's going to add the script just any second now. If you can see mouse look, and it's going to add that to it now. Now it's reloading and it has been added, if you can see. Now to double press it and we have it here now. Now I'm going to say make some variables called, the first is called public float mouse sensitivity is equal to 100f, which is 100, I guess nothing but 100, and I want to set it new not just a second to cut this. Okay, I want to set public transform player body. Okay, and just a second. Now we want to tell you something. If you can see here, we are going to move our camera. If you press W, if you press E, it will show you the rotations. We are going to need our camera to move like up and down, right? We want to need our player to move up and down, not our player, the camera. You can see it's moving down, up, and but for looking left and right, you want to need our player to look. If you can see, we want to need our player to look rather than our camera. And also we need to clamp. Clamp means don't like clamp is we want to need our camera to look not higher than this or not lower than this, like that, or we don't need it to look like 90 degrees or 360 degrees. So yeah, now let's fix that. We in this so yes, We have created like public float mouse sensitivity, which is the sensitivity, and we have created public transform player body. And now if we are going to say we're going to say in the update function, we're going to say float mouse x is equal to input dot get axes and say mouse, and write this very carefully because if you don't it might mess up. mouse set x. And if you don't write it as same as I have written it right here, mouse x, it might mess up your whole mouse thing. Now we want to multiply that by mouse sensitivity, which is mouse sensitivity, of course. I want to say time delta time. Okay, now we are going to copy this line of code. Just a second. Copy this and we'll write it in here. I'm going to set mouse dot y. Now we're going to say y, not x. And in here we're going to set mouse x, not y. And now we are, this is same as this, like get axis vertical and horizontal. Now we are in here, we are moving our player, we are moving our player on left and right, and in here we are moving our camera on up and down. And now we're going to clamp it and make sure it doesn't go over 360 degrees, and instead we want to make sure our rotation is also right. So we want to create another variable float x rotation is equal to 0f. Okay, now if we are going to go here and to say x rotation is minus equal to mouse x move, move. It might be better to name them mouse rather than move. Just a second. And say mouse y. Okay, because if you plus it, it will just mess up the whole thing, and we are making sure our rotation isn't I don't know how this works, but it works. So follow along now. And we have to create a rotation. We have to clamp it so it doesn't go over 90 or 50 degrees, I guess, or 360 degrees. We want to say float multiply mouse x rotation is equal to math f dot clamp. Now we have to clamp it by our x rotation, indicated by x rotation, and I want to minus 90 degrees and 90 degrees on the f-axis, or the max, I guess. And now we're going to say transform dot local rotation of our camera is equal to quaternion, which I don't know what is. It will handle all the rotations. Quaternion is how to say it, a variable or a word used in Unity's coding to handle rotations. I'm going to say quaternion dot error. Oh, just a second. Dot error, and to say x rotation dot 0 on the 0 on y-axis and 0 on the z-axis as well. Now I'm going to say player body don't rotate vector 3 dot up, which is up and down, multiplied by our mouse multiplied by mouse x. So just a second, we are getting some questions here which I don't understand with how. Transform don't look position, yes, and position we say when we say rotation. So don't local rotation. Now it should work. Yes. Now if you press Command S or Control S, it's going to be saved. Now I'm going to go over it. This is our mouse sensitivity, and this is our player. We are asking for a reference to our player, and we want to give that in the hierarchy or in the transform, and which is this. But let's go over it now. This is the rotation of our player or our camera. Now we are in here, we are um, asking for the axis of mouse X and mouse Y. We are multiplying that by our mouse sensitivity, so it matches our mouse sensitivity, and you can change the mouse sensitivity every time you want. And we are multiplying by time to delta time, so it doesn't go fast or go like absolutely crazy. This will make it so it is that's it is like in time, in real time, or in time. And in here we are minusing our mouse X by our X rotation. I don't know why is it that, but it works. And in here we are X rotation equals to math F dot clamp X rotation 90 minus 90 degrees and 90. We are making sure it doesn't go below 90 degrees and above max 90 degrees, I guess. But we are making sure it is clamped, and in here we are making sure that our transform local rotation is X rotation, which is this. And we are making sure that it doesn't go over, it is clamped, it doesn't go over 360 degrees. Yes, here, and I will say player dot rotate vector dot up mouse X. When you move our mouse right and left, it will rotate our player body rather than the camera. So, and we last one more thing, say cursor dot lock mode is equal to no, is cursor dot lock. So cursor dot lock state is equal to cursor lock mode dot locked. It makes sure that our mouse isn't um, like this when we play. When we press Command S, now it is saved. And if you go to Unity, it should be compiling right now, and it is. It will take some time because it is compiled the code. And if you press on camera, if you can see, we have this. Now if you say player body don't transform, we want to give our player body to it. Now it should be working. If you press play, now it is going to work. It takes this time, I guess. If you can see, we are moving up and down. It makes it, as you can see, we're not moving that much. I mean, we're not going overboard. Now you can see we can walk. We can't see it much, so just a second, I have to create some more cubes. If you press to 3D objects cube, and we have this cube here. Okay, now I want to set, I want to scale it up by 2, and if you press Command D, it will duplicate, and you can check this again and again. I think it is Control D on PC, but I don't know. I'm using a Mac, as you can see. And I want to set again Control D. Just a second. Yes, and here. Now we have to try test it, and you can see. On tomorrow episode, I'm going to create run, jump, and crouch, and on maybe a third episode, I'm to create guns. If you guys like this video, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this all. And if you want me to create anything, I'll try to learn it first, then create it, so I don't make any mistakes. So yeah, see you later on.